We've got to protect our children. They need our hands. We've got to stand up. Yeah, stand.
Hey friends, Ian Mitchell here. We're back with another Protect Our Children episode, and just got done recording this, and wow, there are so many pieces of wisdom and insights that my new friend Luke Richey just drops, and it's amazing. There is so much here. I met him a good 6 months ago and just hit it off, and we reconnected a month or two ago and have just had so many impactful one-on-one conversations. He is in the gaming industry, has been a very successful entrepreneur in gaming, and he's just going to give some insights here that'll blow your mind. There is a lot of faith for those that aren't Christians. I want to make sure I tell you that there is a lot of talk about faith and what God is doing through the gaming industry. But there is really a lot of practical advice. So hang on to your seats. This is a real good one. Thank you for being a part of and watching the show. Thank you, Bree, as always. And do me a favor, as you're here in the end, check out the music and continue to tune in as we bring these really compelling conversations around protecting our children. We're off to Luke. Hey, friends. So I am thrilled to have my new friend, somebody I feel like I've known for quite a while, Luke. Luke, it's a blessing to have you here, brother. I can't believe we met each other. How long ago now? What was it? 6 months, 8 months?
Maybe 6 months. Yeah. 8 months.
6 months.
I lose track of time.
I'm so inspired by just our conversations we've had, what you're doing, and just your overall mission. And well, just thank you for joining us, and thank you for agreeing to be a part of this, man.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, where do we start?
Yeah, well, who's Luke? Let's talk. Who are? Yeah.
Wow, that's a
big question. I know.
Lord? It's so 2019, March 16th, 2019. I was living apart from my wife, and I'd gone through a series of miracles and breaking and all kinds of stuff. Like God broke me down, healed me, did a bunch of things, but then he showed me my sin. That was actually March 10th, 2019. He showed like full night of visions of my whole life, like Scrooge level waking visions. And I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, like the shame and like just seeing your whole life. I'm talking everything. Like imagine going all the way back and things you don't even remember, sins you don't even remember being reminded of them. And I broke on March 16th, 2019. I just started screaming, Lord Jesus, if you are who you say you are, save me. And I screamed that for probably 4 or 5 hours, living in my mom's basement because my wife and I had separated, and I couldn't speak anymore. I actually screamed it so long and so hard, and tears were like literally squirting out of my eyes because like, what do you do with this? Like this. And I'll just tell you, I woke up on March 17th, completely different. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know. I woke up and I'm like, what's going on? Like I could feel stuff in my mind, like things just different. I knew what manipulation was. I knew what narcissism was. I knew there was a broken way of thinking that I didn't think like anymore. I saw colors different. Promise you this, I was looking around going, where am I? Like, what is this? And I instantly recognized I had a love for people. And this is just my favorite part, so I'm starting there. But I called my wife, and we were getting ready to file. Like, it was very amicable. But we're like, okay, we're going to run the business together because we're really good at startups together. So we'll keep doing this. But the marriage is done. And I just told her, I go, you know what, Jen? I go, something happened to me last night, like something big. And I said, if it's going to be 30 more days or 30 more years, it's going to end so well. And she goes, well, it's not going to be 30 years. I appreciate that. But she goes, guess what? Something happened to me last night. So she had been repenting that night also. Like we both just independently hadn't even talked. I don't even know how many days were repenting. What's interesting though is my parents were gone, my stepdad and my mom. That same night that I was repenting, they were putting our name in the prayer roll in Israel. And that same night, my pedophile grandfather died. So it's like something spiritual broke in this whole thing that God was doing. And I'll fast forward, but God just moved in our family because it was so wild with what happened with Jen and I. And we don't even consider ourselves married. We got married again because it was like there was something, Jesus at the center, like it was a whole new, it wasn't even the same people, but they were the same people. Um, and but he came and got our kids, cousins, aunts. Like it was weird. We had a whole revival like a year before COVID hit, like this huge revival in our family, worshiping 3-4 nights a week. And we're just like, wow, Lord, this is incredible. And then it never dawned on any of us to ask why, like he did this, because it was just so exciting. You're just constantly seeing the Lord move. I did at first start out thinking, oh, I've wasted my whole life. Like I know computer science, I studied quantum physics and microbiology, like all like waste of time. So I started reading everything I could find, like, all the great classics, to learn about my faith now. I'm like, I need to learn as much as I can. And I went and trained to become a suicide counselor. I started doing that, and I was really, really good at it because of the Holy Spirit, but I wasn't made for it. Like I'd go do these calls, and then the stuff I'd hear, and it would wreck me. I literally sometimes couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. You spend 2 hours on the phone with somebody that's about to take their life, and you're like, you got nothing left. Like pastors that do this all the time, I can't even imagine. They're built for it. I remember praying, Lord, I don't know why you have me doing this. I can't handle it. He's like, well, I never asked you to do this. And that's when he showed us, and we started really praying into, why did you do this to our family? And it's funny because we were always in the secular space. First augmented reality comes to the United States, patents, very tied into the video game industry. The founder of video games, not a believer, literally the father of all video games, Nolan Bushnell, is a friend of ours. So it's like, oh, you've had a plan all along. Like God was in your life or in our lives before we even knew him. And you don't understand his sovereignty until you really start to see it as a believer. But that early on, I was like, oh, you've got a strategy. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. It's like, oh, now we're building kind of what he showed us to go do.
I just had this exact conversation, I think it was yesterday, the day before. And just like somebody I was talking to said, I feel like I missed something. You said I wasted my life. And it was like, well, actually, no, you've been trained now for, in this case, 3 decades of what you needed to do to now make the world better and be the arms and legs of Jesus and bring the heart of God to earth. I mean, it's really interesting. So when we start looking at, it's like, God doesn't make sense. We could argue all day long. Is it, crooked paths made straight? Is this his plan? Is it not like this is where, we talk about this whole I mean, there's a lot of things even in the Bible that talk about, hey, this is just confusing of where we landed. Regardless, you're a new creation and you see the world completely new. And you're like, okay, I got one thing to do now. And it's like, pursue whatever God wants me to do. And,
exactly. And it's like,
awesome.
It's all in too. Like there's no halfway. And what's so cool too is like the things that you had from your past, when you lay them at the feet of the Father, there's one of two things happen. Like, for example, my ability to raise funding, right? I tried in our own effort to do that because we're good at that. We do that. Like that's what Jen and I do. Like this is like it always worked, but it worked with before knowing him, and we couldn't actually get any money raised, like actually for our initial project once we became believers. But we were doing it under our own strength. Lay it down at the feet of the Father. One of two things happens. He either hands it back weightless and polished, or you don't even miss it. So it's like these things that you carry. So even the gifts, like he starts refining. He's like, yeah, I want you to know how to do this, But yeah, I also want you to understand it's only through my power that anything happens. Like, because, and I don't know where I land on predestination. Like, I got a whole story about that.
That's
Because
the
I can argue both sides, like
that's
legitimately
me and
win
my daughter do that all
both
the time.
sides.
What where you're going is like my yoke is easy, burden is light, or vice versa, whatever it is. It's like the reality is when we're actually operating in the fullness and not just manufacturing things, or for me being an entrepreneur for an
Yeah.
entrepreneur's sake, it actually like it feels like there's wind in your sails, and
Hmm.
things that were difficult that maybe you could do well, but still were labor actually end up being things that just happen. And it's amazing how that takes place. Yeah.
It's it's crazy because this is the first time I've ever actually fully experienced it in the last basically since April. Uh, because and I call it working from rest, and I don't know why I call it that. Other than people were saying you need to learn to work from rest, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Uh, but I feel like I kind of do now because it's just like I get up, I'm going to do what he asked if I can, as much as I can, but still balance with all the other things. And then, but the results are up to him because he asked us to go do this. So why am I attaching myself to these results in the future that I may be inferring incorrectly, anyways? Because I don't know what he's doing. Like, I literally don't know what he's doing half the time. He's just doing a million things. So it's just like, get up and obey. Uh,
Well,
but
this is why you and I can
yeah.
relate so well together. I mean, the conversation we had I was in my car in my driveway, and it was just one of the best conversations I've had in years. To just the way that you view work and your place in it, it just is, it's amazing. And to hear it's, I mean, you said 2019. This is
Hmm.
relatively new. This freshness. You've been in boot camp for the last six
Yeah.
years in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crushing, but I'll share a quick story because April was like when it changed. The end of February, Jen walks in my office, and my wife is like, she's the kindest person. Nobody ever really argues with her except me, and she's just nice and she's kind to everybody. But she comes in, I'm like, oh, what did I do? Because she's got this look on her face, and she goes, I just want to. I'm actually not going to say it the way she said it because she's not a crass person, and it would make her sound like a crass person. But she said, you need to stop complaining. Um, and you need to pull up your big boy underwear and stop complaining. And every time you feel like complaining, you need to worship. Uh, and she goes, all of March, the rest, you're not going to complain once in March. And then she just walks out. I was like, oh, like, because it wasn't just her saying that. It was the Lord convicting her, which it should have been I should have been the one being convicted. And I was like, Lord, I'm so sorry. And I just made it my habit. Every time I wanted to be like, this sucks, Lord. I'm like, oh, you know what? Thank you that on this side of eternity, I get to have something that sucks that I can worship through. Because I'll never get that to give that to you again in eternity. Like, this is the only time I get to give you a gift that actually is like something like you didn't just hand to me in the first place. Uh, and man, it worked. Something just changed. Like everything changed. Like, I don't even know what the whole principle is yet. I'm still like riding this wave of crazy.
Work of our hands is an offering, and it's like the Bible talks about work being worship, which doesn't make any sense in a lot of cases,
Mm-hmm.
but it is. So, dude, we went somewhere that honestly I feel like we need to spend more time on this whole concept of work and what it is and what it isn't. And
Yeah, seriously.
um, if you don't mind, because we're doing the protect our children stuff, you are a gods over decades, but now you are a force in the gaming world and doing some amazing things. Maybe talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind, just kind of your background resume on the gaming side of the equation and maybe what you're up to now. And then we'll get into
Yeah.
like the child exploitation side of gaming.
Mm-hmm. I will just mild correction. It's he positioned
Yeah.
my wife and I just
Yeah.
100%. Like, there's no
Yeah.
force coming from me. It's even though Luke is my name, like anybody Star Wars reference, but the it is 100% all glory to him. Even some of the stuff that happened, like I dreamt the original patents for the augmented reality. Told my wife about them in late 2008. She's like, "Let's go patent these. This is our next company." Um, and I just dreamt about this stuff, algorithms, and I thought I was just, oh, I'm so smart. I even think I dream stuff up in my sleep. But now I know where it's from now, and that kind of positioned us as this. Nobody was talking about that then. Mobile phones, the App Store had just launched when this happened. So it just kind of happened where we ended up doing things that were really cool. Like we got to work with crazy names. Like Niantic came and met with us when they were a very small company. They actually didn't tell us they were a spinoff from Google. They kind of lied about their origin story at the time. We ended up putting the geomechanics from our patents into the Pokemon Go game. We actually shared some additional.
Well, my whole family thanks you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
many
Well,
swipes, all the spinny balls and all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool is we shared other mechanics that they didn't put in, which we do want to do later in the game because they're really powerful. The one mechanic I'm proud of that I didn't even know this would be the impact, but because 2008 cell phones come, kids start moving heads down instead of heads up. They stop like video games were already keeping them indoors, but now it's like next level with mobile phones. Pokemon Go got them outside. This is a worldwide statistic. Everywhere Pokemon Go was played before they removed the requirement for outdoor mechanics, suicide and self-harm went down 34 to 40% across the planet.
Wow.
Like if you had a low suicide rate, it went lower. If you had a high one, it went lower. It was just like multiple studies on this, really interesting. Super simple mechanic is get kids outside. The one thing that they didn't do is create a permanent social bond. Like you have shared interest, you get kids to a location. Now there's dangers with all that, but you can work around those. Now you can create social networks where kids could thrive and they do things that are outside the digital space. And so those things just kind of brought us to this spot where we were the only augmented reality company in the United States for a long time. So if you had an augmented reality need, we were the place to go to. So really large R&D team, and that just led us into gaming. And additionally, we had a love for it. Our prior startup had been purchased or acquired by a gaming company before we started Gravity Jack. So that's kind of some of the resume stuff. There's more. I mean, we've done a lot of games. Worked on World of Tanks editions, and if you're a gamer, that's a pretty big one too.
Wow. So let's talk about what your lens are when it comes to children and the risks related to gaming and kids. Because there are a lot of ways we could go, but we're going to double click into that. From your perspective as someone in that field, there's been a lot coming out recently about the dangers of things like Roblox and other platforms because of my son educated me on the lack of moderation in some of these and controls. There's been exposure. So just from your lens as somebody who's been in the gaming field, the risks that you see and that concern you.
Outside of the addiction factor, let's just cover that. The addictive mechanics are predatory. They're predatory specifically on dopamine. Like there are psychological loops you create inside a game mechanic to create a shame dopamine release cycle. And that same shame dopamine release cycle leads to pornography. It leads to all the things, gambling, where you can't be happy outside of these clicking.
Can I ask you a question?
Same thing, Facebook. Yeah.
Is that intentional by the game designers, or are they just triggering off of something that's already within us and they're just trying to create a game that has people wanting to come back, right? There's the intentionality to create something addictive, but the other thing, it's like for maybe evil purposes. Other ones are, I just want my game to explode and be the next kind of big.
We did. I think it was initially kind of experimental. I just know from experience, we did a game called Double Down Casino. We were so shocked at what we could get people to do. And so we would refine it. And it was more for us, it was like this discovery of wow, we're controlling these people so much. This game, before we handed it off to the client, was doing 35 million a month. Ended up being bought by IGN and this huge thing. And because that's a month of just basically people gambling and they can't actually receive anything back that's not digital. Like they can't get any money back. And so we were tweaking and refining, and really we fine tuned those loops. This is early 2009, or excuse me, early 2010. And so there was a discovery, but I think now 100% it's not discovery. You can't go raise for a game if you have a lifetime value of a player that exceeds a year, meaning they already know you're going to burn them out. They're going to hate you. But how much can you get from them before you churn them? Because how addictive is your game for that time period before they literally toss their phone and are angry at how much they've spent? And the enemy, he's doing this the whole time. He's manipulating it. He's been studying humans for a long time. And so that's that first one, addiction. The second one is isolation. I mean, you've got over 70% of all kids feel isolated. That's a worldwide statistic also. And this was not the statistic pre-2008. You just look at everything, this gaming track to mobile to devices, and that isolation leads to the increase in suicide rates. Since 2008, up 63%. In youth specifically, there's a new category for 5-year-olds that take their life. That's more related to the predation that occurs because of sextortion, and the mass levels of toxicity. I mean, there's really nothing redeeming about it. And then there's the last one most don't think about. But we are born with a sense of adventure. We are born with God-born things in us. We're supposed to go like harvest. We're supposed to go tell people about Christ. And we're supposed to get a dopamine release when that happens. We're supposed to celebrate with heaven. We're supposed to learn through play. But the enemy takes everything and twists it and tweaks it. So we've got all these young men playing these games, and their sense of adventure is being falsely satiated in these games where you're doing these noble things and potentially noble things. And it's just one more trick of the enemy. It's like, how do I subdue mankind and keep them from what God has for them?
As a fraud fighter, counterfeiting what's intended for real purposes, noble acts, like you said. I love that word, but also just adventure. I think we're made to go explore. I mean, I think this earth is to explore and to experience. And so, I went on the Disney ride where it's like, I think it's called Eagle or Soar, and you're up there and you're going through the mountains. I mean, there's some really cool things about experiences like that. And I've seen some, but at the same time, and that's doing something that really would be hard to pull off as a human, unless you're, some sort of skydiver or something like that. So I think there's some really cool experiences that come through platforms like this, but it again goes back to the counterfeiting, and then you tie that into the addictive, impulsive, and then you end up removing real relationship out of your life. We've had to walk through that in my own house multiple times, not just with my kids, with my wife and I. She absolutely loved this snowboarding game when we first got married. This snowboarding game where she could actually, she was amazing at it, by the way. She's never snowboarded a day in her life, and she was snowboarding, but she did it not for the snowboarding. She did it so she could buy all the different hats and outfits and dress up her character as a snowboarder. I would love to go back and look at the graphics now. I bet they're just horrible. But even as, young adults and in new marriage and all that stuff, we've had to walk that out of how, and that ended up being something that she spent a lot of time on. Sorry, Melissa, for bringing that example up. I probably could bring up Star Wars Battlefront for me. Yeah. So, we definitely have walked through that as a family, not just with the kids.
Mm-hmm. It's, I don't think there's really a lot redeeming about the space, but I also do think it's the largest opportunity the church has ever had in front of them. Because the Roman roads were not built by a government that we respect, right? It's the Romans. They crucified Jesus. But we use their roads to spread the gospel. Like Paul used their roads. There is a digital road that's been created now. Just backing up into some statistics, that 4% of Generation Z have a biblical worldview. The projected is 1% of generation alpha. And the projected generation beta, which started being born about 28 days ago, is 0.001. So there's a nonlinear reduction. It's a spiritual extinction event if we actually believe the statistics. But for Christianity, and that broke my heart for a long time. But I'm like, okay, God's sovereign, and like that's not his heart for kids. And you're seeing revivals like elsewhere, like outside. I love all that, but we also know where every single kid from Gen A to Gen Z is for 2 hours a day. You have 98% of them. We know where they're spending their money. We know what they're doing. Like, why aren't we there? Like we can redeem the space by going in and then discipling. Like in discipling before they know Christ, discipleship is just going and loving on somebody and walking with them. And then we bring them into real life. Like, what is the mechanisms then that bring them into real life? So that's why I'm still in the industry. It's like there's an opportunity here that's been completely missed.
So what are you doing in the industry now? So when you say I'm still in the industry, what does that mean? What can you share?
We're like some of us in stealth, or we'll remain in stealth too, like we discussed. But imagine, this is a real example. One of our team members was watching a Discord channel, and this kid, they jump out of a game. He's with 8 of his people who he was just playing a game with, so they're his peers. And our employee was one of these peers, and the kids says, "Hey guys," butcher exactly how this was said, but my parents are going through a divorce. I'm really struggling. And the responses were KYS, which is shut up, F you. If you ever post that, don't come play with us. Like, this is the level of toxicity that gaming is. He signs off before my friend gets a chance to talk to him, our employee, and just gone, never came back. And so these kids are using these digital systems, and they're interacting with each other, and their entire social construct is built in these digital worlds. What we're doing is building a layer that developers can use, because there's a lot of developers that won't add chat, so people move over to Discord. And Discord is a breeding ground for pedophiles and all the people we fight against. But what if there was a layer that when this happens, there's an AI watching, and it's basically using sentiment analysis inside all the game chats, including Discord. And we're noticing that we actually can surface a real human to that child when there's a crisis event. That's one mechanism of like the healing. And then that person can walk with them, but that person is background checked, they're vetted, they're trained on the various levels of crisis. So if this child is talking about taking their life, or they even are showing the sentiment because it's crazy, we can go to a Reddit forum and with one of our AIs tell you, oh, that user is ideating about taking their life. And they're not using any words that you would recognize as a human, but AI can detect it. And one of our engines is 97% accurate. Like, that person struggles with suicide just by the way they type, the adjectives they use. And so what if we can actually preventatively go in and walk alongside these people? And it's like a digital mission field. And that's where like Jesus.net comes in, and some of our other partners. Jesus.net's doing the training, the vetting, the tiers. And also, because you don't just come in and you're not just Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Like, one thing I learned on that hotline is just love on them. Just express to them their value.
Well, Luke, you touched on something that's so powerful to me, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to, one of the things we talk about, we could probably spend a whole lot of time talking about this, but we'll save this for another conversation. Getting ready to launch a new company, and it's heavy involved with AI. And I'm getting to learn the power of this AI that scares a lot of people, but the
Hmm.
actual one of my friends, Kit Boga, he does a scamming kind of YouTube. He says, "Well, we need to AI is being weaponized. It's time we use it to fight back." And so I do think that the application for advanced technology is there in the right hands, can do so much unbelievable good. And so I think that's where, if there's anybody that's kind of one fearful of advanced
Hmm.
tech. I mean, there's reasons to probably be fearful of it, but for those, there's two ways to respond. There's one way to respond and completely check out, pull out, or do what you're doing, which is like, hey, I'm going to use this now to fight back. And that's what one of my companies is on the scam side. So, very, very powerful kind of underlying
Yeah,
message there that I think we
100%.
could dig into quite a bit. Um,
Yeah, it's such a tool, and I think anything can be used in a holy way. I shouldn't say anything, but any tool for the most part can be. There's It's going to be really powerful because uh, we're not just doing crisis. We're using the same techniques that game mechanics, and we gamify not being a jerk. Actually, and so inside Haven, we have a vibe score, and we've made it really cool. And so we have a multi-generational board. I have multi-generational roundtables with players, gamers, developers. Like, how do we make this uncool? And everybody actually hates it. Like, the actual players don't like the toxicity. They don't like the anxiety that they feel. They don't like the isolation. It's like, what if we can make this cool to where, hey, being a jerk isn't the the thing that gets laughs anymore. In fact, it's going to adjust your vibe that we track via AI, and people will want to play with you.
yeah.
And like, even if they have to fake it, it's still, who cares? That's society. Like, sometimes I'm in a bad mood on the freeway, but I have to fake that. I'm going to drive okay. And so it's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So it's not just crisis. We're like, let's use all the tools to modify behavior in a way that's Christ-like.
Well, brother, so to kind of land on this child protection side, what would be advice you'd give to parents, to guardians, to anybody that's in a situation where they're trying to protect somebody that they hold dear and they love, in the challenging environment of gaming that we're in today? Maybe not tomorrow, and I want to bring you back to kind of hear updates when you're ready on what tomorrow looks like.
Yeah.
But in today's environment, what does that look like?
Honestly, this is so counter thesis to the business I'm in. I would 100% wouldn't even let them in. I'm telling you this because there are predators in every single game that has chat. They're like Dora the Explorer. I heard a horrible story out of that. There are sextortionists professionally that do this, that damage your child, and they laugh about the children that take their lives. That there's just there's no reason, like, especially if they're young enough, just keep them out of it. They don't have to be a part of that social structure. I used to think that because I was in tech. I was like, oh, my kids, I'm not going to hamper them. There's nothing good that comes from this. Like, there just isn't. They don't know how to read maps. Like, they can't actually get anywhere because if Google doesn't tell them how to get to the gas station down the street, it, 4 years later, my daughter is still, she's just like, if I don't have Google, I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, it's in our city. Like, so that's my advice. Keep them just off it. But there's also a reality that maybe that's not possible. Oh, then be involved. Play the games with them. Talk this, like, if you do want to form a connection with a gamer, game with them for 2 minutes as an older person, Gen X or whatever, boomer. They'll remember you for the rest of their life because nobody does that. The only people that do that is their peers. So the other option is be heavily involved, game with them, and then start selecting games. Like, I don't like the way I feel. Do you like the way you feel when you play that? No. Then let's play something else. Uh, that would be where I'd land.
That's powerful, and I think the thing is, yeah, we as our family decided to step away from like the Roblox and even the Minecraft, which
Hmm.
is was really hard. But I do think as parents and guardians, we're all so busy, and what I think
Yeah,
underlying what you're saying too is be in relationship with your children. And I
yeah.
think
I mean, you
that's
have to be.
so difficult in today's day and age. It's so
Yeah,
difficult, but that's what I hear you saying. And I'm not much of a gamer. I know my boys wish I was, But I probably need to pick up a controller or two.
If
Are
you
there?
did it for 10 minutes, even if they nuke you the whole time, like they'll it's funny, they'll remember that because it's such a part of like what they all talk about. They'll be like, oh dude, my dad played with me. And they'll never forget that. I've actually met uh not met him, he's on our board, he's a young man, but he remembers the two times his dad played with him because it was just so much fun. Uh, and yeah, it is valuable. Uh,
I ask,
but
is
yes,
there
relationship.
is there a specific platform, like, games are now on devices and on iPads and iPhone computers, and there's the PlayStations and all that. Is there one platform that's safer or better than the others, that maybe practically or tactically there's something there that, because the App Store's filled with
Xbox
games.
is Yeah, Xbox is slightly safer because the communication is centralized, and then do actually, I do know the people there try. They don't try very hard in terms of there could be more. There is a You expose yourself to some liability when you make decisions that are above like a legal threshold. Uh, and so, like with what we're doing, we're like, let's expose ourselves to that liability. Like we just don't. We're not worried about that. God will protect us, and we'll have Lloyd's protect the rest. Lloyd's in London, but the the reality is no. I mean, Roblox, their CEOs, he's a dark person. I mean, I think I was watching a CNBC, and he was like, "Well, what do you think about this report?" I can't remember what the report was. And he's like, "If parents don't uh, like that there's predators on our platform, tell their kids not to play it." So what'll happen is you have an event, and some child will take their life. They'll release some parental tool that they've had done for a year. They'll PR the crap out of it and act like this is our response. Look at how good we're doing. The stock price goes back up. Uh, Everything's just quiet. And then but they haven't actually really done anything because they're still trying to get the parent to intervene. And their parental tools are crap anyways. Uh, yeah, it's just, there aren't any really, they're always going to, it's counter to the God they serve. If I am more interested in the person, then I can't have this competing profit value that says that these predators, which on Roblox, it's an estimated 1 million predators at any given point in the day, are playing Roblox with the sole intention of some compromising the players on there in some fashion. So it's like, why would you let your kids on there? Like, just literally throw them in a wolf pen because it's pretty.
Part of it is, I know for me, letting my son play Roblox, excuse me, for years, I didn't know. And so that's
Yeah,
one thing.
they
Now
don't
we're
know.
becoming aware. And so that's part of what hopefully this conversation and all the conversations that are happening now, because our children, again, are just the easiest prey. I hate to say it. I mean, some kids are very sharp on this, but still, we're all getting duped, whether it's to scams or to, I mean, it's everyone's getting duped. And
Yeah,
with the sophistication that these criminals have, the access that these criminals have on a global scale. Um, I
there's so
heard
much money
today.
in it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's their God. So they're like, more of it I have. Uh, yeah, it's really scary actually. If you there, when we've done talks, I have to go update the statistics, and I finally told Jen, I'm like, I'm not updating the statistics anymore on these slides. I go because I cry for 2 days straight, and because it's just always worse. And she goes, no, God's got you. You got to still keep the stats updated until we can start making a dent. And that'll be the day. Maybe you don't have to update them. But she's like, for now, people got to know. Like, and it's just getting worse. Uh, as much as there's information coming out, it's just getting worse. Like they're patching stuff that's not really actually a fix, um, and it draws more people in. Oh well, now it's safe. Nope.
Well, brother, first of all, God bless you and the work you're doing. I hope more people like you are in positions of authority and innovation and entrepreneurship, and you have, uh, yeah, there's a ton of success for people that want to do good business and that want to do business for good, and there's all kinds of ways to spin that. But I think there's a way to have a very successful, profitable business, but also, take the corrupt bring out the evil and the corruption out of it. And so thank you for what you're doing on this adventure. I'd love to bring you back to talk about, when you're ready,
Heck yeah.
the new adventure you're kind of starting up and going on. I think it's going to be exciting for a lot of folks. Luke, thank you for your time, brother. God bless you,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
appreciate
Yeah.
you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love you, brother.
Right back at
So
you.
if you enjoyed the M3 show and you want to watch all the new releases, click subscribe. You know how it works. Secondly, if you want to support my nonprofit, the one I established to fight human crimes like child exploitation and human trafficking and scams, click the QR code, scan it, make a donation. That would be hugely appreciated. And if you want to stay updated on all the music, again, I release music regularly. Go and click that link in the description. And we're on every major platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can look up Ian Mitchell. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the support. And I look forward to being with you next time.
I am not done yet. I am not done yet.